So we're going to rejoin Graham Ward now, discussing the fallout following the Lee Castleton trial, where the judge has currently reserved judgment based on some statements by the Fujitsu expert witnesses for the post office, namely that there is some kind of other event report that no one seems to be able to name or say exactly what it contains, and the fact that the message store appears to be missing. The discussion continues between Fujitsu and post office workers at this point about the message store, and Graham Ward's quite adamant that it should have been escalated. This is very important. We can see the emails marked as important, and that should he have been aware of it, he would have escalated it. It does turn out that actually he was aware of it. And he is admitting, I think for the first time in this, that there is something that he ought to have done that he didn't actually end up doing because it was of vital importance. So clearly an opportunity to fix what was happening during the post office scandal at a reasonably early stage in it in 2006. Probably the best opportunity we've seen so far to stop these terrible things happening seem to have been completely missed by the post office at this point. Let's jump into the inquiry.
You know, I don't recall seeing this email. Can we just scroll to the top where it's got my email address? Sure.
You are definitely there, as we saw before.
So right-hand side, that's it.
Yeah. So I mean, I know it's some of it's redacted. Sorry, yeah, but it's got Graham C. WA.R. I don't know whether that's relevant or not, but would I have actually got that email? Because my email address within the post office was graham.c.ward. So, you know, obviously I'm not going to remember receiving emails from 2006 anyway. And if I was CC'd in, you know, I'd like to think I would have read it, and if I'd have seen that, then that would have concerned me greatly. And yeah, I would have escalated that as an issue, but I just don't think I've picked that up. And whether that was because I haven't received the email or whether I just haven't picked it up, I don't know.
Can we just go up, please, to page 3?
Potentially got a point there. I mean, we know many times email addresses are mistyped, letters are missed out, dots in the wrong places. So clearly that's an unformatted email compared to the formatted ones we've seen. So the format has been stripped out. So whether that error has been introduced as part of the generation of the text of that email, which is a possibility, although the unformatted text should be exactly what was sent to the server, or whether indeed it is a typo and he hasn't received it. It is plausible what he's saying from a technical perspective.
So maybe if we can just display one page at a time now. Thank you, and then just scroll up.
But we can see at this point, he's definitely in it. So he's definitely in the chain, because what they were referring to was below this. And it does now say graham.c.ward. So at that point, even if he didn't receive the first one, he's certainly been placed into the chain because the email address there now appears to be correct.
You'll see here at the foot of the page that I think your email address is, in a reply to that, displayed as graham.c.ward.
Yeah.
That's the correct.
That is correct, yeah.
And so whether this is a function of the way this has been printed, sometimes the downloading process, I'm using very inelegant terms here, and the printing process affects the way email addresses appear, or whether somebody made a mistake in the first email we looked at. This second email is the correct email address.
Yeah.
And so you would.
And that's a pretty good explanation, I have to say, there from Jason Beer there, considering he's not a technical expert or a computing professional, because that's pretty much just what we said, but using more technical terminology, shall we say.
Would have got the chain.
Yeah.
So I think we can probably rule out it didn't come to you.
Okay.
That leaves, I think, that it's not something that you picked up.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And I think you'd probably agree, in the light of what you just said, it's quite important, isn't it?
Very.
And again, we don't see it reflected in that table of a couple of years later that I showed you in section 7 of the policy as things to look for.
Yeah. I would have thought, given that, yes, it appears to be really important, that this would have been, escalated by the civil litigation team. They worked closely with the criminal law team as well. I would have thought it would have been escalated as as an issue.
Are you talking about Mandy Talbot there?
Well, Stephen Dilly was the lawyer dealing with it.
Yes, he was in an outsourced firm.
Yeah.
So he wasn't within Post Office.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I would agree it's significant, and it should have been escalated.
We also know about a note that Anne Chambers herself wrote, which is along the same lines, up into her line management reflections document, which picks up this point about the categories of data obtained as a result of the initial request for data. Can you recall any fallout from that coming back to Post Office saying, when you ask for data, you need to be asking for message store data too?
No, not at all.
Thank you. That can come down, thank you. You tell us in your witness statement that the casework manager acted as the single point of contact, as between the Post Office on the one hand and Fujitsu on the other, in relation for requests for and then the provision of ARQ data.
That's correct, yeah.
Other than the two documents that I've shown you, the 2003 and the 2007 document, which are Fujitsu documents, were there any written policies or protocols which you in the Post Office followed within the casework team concerning requesting ARQ data?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And that's where the process falls down, because if they've not got a process for what they're even requesting, they're just requesting this thing called ARQ, they can't actually tell whether it's complete, whether it's right, what it even means. If they've not had any training on it, it seems to make it completely weak in terms of evidence, because the people who are handing it over as a prosecution don't actually really understand A, what to expect, and B, what it means when they do get it.
Did you just do, therefore, what your predecessor had done, follow the custom and practice of him or her?
Yeah, I think I inherited the process. I can't be absolutely clear, because I say it goes back 22 years, but we just basically carried on requesting the data that we thought was important.
When surely that should have been requesting all the data that was relevant